in the day. I teach drums mainly at the moment because there's no gigs. So what happens is I wake up, I start teaching at about 12ish, and I teach through until about 6, let's say, just because of logistical times that kids have. So I have a lie-in. The missus doesn't. She wakes up relatively early, gets work. So what happens is she'll wake up early. She'll come through with a coffee to wake me up at a designated time that we've agreed. And we have a chat in the morning, and then we go about our daily routine. And it's been great. So this morning, happened like many other mornings, I get woken up by my missus with a coffee. Fantastic, love it. We have a chat. And she starts telling me, oh man, I woke up at 4:30. I went to the loo, came back, and I could swear I heard them shuffling around, and I couldn't get to sleep for some weird reason. So I woke up at 5. So I've been up since 5, she was telling me.
Right.
And regaling me with all the things she'd done and how productive she'd been. And I was like, didn't think of it again. When she left, I started watching a YouTube video just before I got out of bed. And I started hearing this shuffling as well. And then I'm like, it's nothing. And I pause the video, and then I start playing it again. And then I hear some more, and I pause the video. I'm like, our neighbours are really loud, so maybe it's them making noise, and it kind of sounds like it's in the room. That can happen sometimes.
So it sounded like it was in the room, you're saying?
Yeah. It kind of did. It was very quiet and very subtle, so it could have been a neighbour. Because you know our neighbours are pretty loud, so you know what they're like.
Yeah. Could well be them.
So I ignore it. And then I'm playing this video, and then in the corner of my eye, above our washing basket, I see a small field mouse scuttle up on top of our washing basket, right?
Amazing.
And being the manly, well-muscled, grizzled man that I am, I immediately, freeze. I'm like, oh, God, it's there. It doesn't know I'm here, but I know it's there. And I sort of get out of bed, it sees me and just scuttles into the nearest corner of the room. And I'm obviously hardly clothed, so I grab as many clothes as I can and I leg it out of the room. And so now we have a mouse trapped in our bedroom. I have no idea how he got in there. There's no entrances or exits that I can see. Anyway, so I tell the missus, she's mortified because she loves animals, but is also terrified of all animals. So it's an interesting combination. So now we've got a mouse trapped in the bedroom. The deal is...
You could probably say you have a mouse in the house, right?
We have a mouse in the house. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. So there we are. I want to get a trap instantaneously. I feel like it's just the best thing to do. Mrs. wants to get a humane trap. I'm okay with doing that, but you'll be surprised that the B&Qs and Tesco's, they don't sell them. So I went round the block, went to about 3 shops, only found these murder traps, basically.
Shovels, they're called.
Yeah. So I get one of those, and we've, by this point, by the way, we've barricaded the bedroom in. So we've shut the door, and we've put a towel under the door so it cannot get out the door. Because we assume it came in through the door, under the sort of jar.
Right, yeah. Because they can get in tiny spaces, can't they?
Exactly.
Surprisingly tiny.
So because we assume it came from outside or came from somewhere more accessible. Our bedroom is it's nothing. It's 4 walls. There's 1 window, but nothing. There's no way of entrance that we can see. Anyway, so I go get these murder traps. We decide to try and scare it out of the front door, basically. So we go in, we do a sweep and clear of the room, and we cannot find this thing. So we're looking around, and we notice on the corner of our room where it scuttled away to, there is about a 3mm gap under the banister.
What?
Not banister, sorry. A skirting board, rather. And I'm in my head, that's the only place it could have gone. So we have a mouse in the walls. It's in the walls, man. We're surrounded. We don't know where the hell it's gone.
It's like Alien.
Yeah. Dude, it is. It is. I just wish I had that heartbeat sensor to see where it was.
God, 3mm. I mean...
It's tiny. That's the only explanation, because it's not in that room. Because we scoured the room. We made as much noise as we could to try and flush it out.
Yeah. It must... Jeez. And that's the only little hole in the entire room.
It's the only little hole that we can see.
Wow.
And it's a long gap, but the height of it is about 3 mil.
3 mil. I mean, that's nothing. God.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Gee whiz. I mean, what you could do is just gaffer the hole up, just fill the hole. I mean, assuming that you're confident it's out on the, it's not still in the room. I mean, the other thought that I had is something a little scarier and more disgusting. It's not somewhere like, it's not in your mattress or something, is it? It's not
oh God, I didn't.
It's not like inside the bed or inside something,
I flipped the mattress around to see if it was anywhere near it. It's a relatively new mattress, and it's like a foam one, so there's no holes in it or anything.
Right.
And it could, there's a chance it could have been hiding this whole time, but we moved everything. Yeah. And I think, a wild animal like that would at least make a noise or a movement.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. So we've basically turned it into the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea.
Nice.
We've put traps everywhere. So we can't go in there for our safety because there's traps everywhere at this point.
A couple of questions. One, what type of trap? And two, how did you persuade the missus?
So basically, it was the only trap we could find today to deal with the problem today, because we assumed it was still in the room at this point when I got the traps. And basically I said, right, listen, it's left now. Maybe it's left the house. Maybe we've scared it off and it won't ever come back. And then that's fine. We don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it does come back, we've given it a warning. The missus apparently was having a chat with it whilst I was out going to the shop. She was giving it its
reading its rights.
It's Miranda rights, yeah. And so if it comes back, it dies.
Yeah.
Is the goal. And I don't want to kill it. It was one of the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. But we can't live in fear, and it's our bedroom. If it was any other room, I wouldn't care that much. Maybe the kitchen would be an issue, but it's the bedroom.
Yeah.
We sleep in that thing. So we're having a little. We're gonna have a camp out in the living room tonight, and we'll be listening out for faint snapping sounds in the background to see if anything happens. But yeah,
the only problem is, mate, he's moved into the living room, and he's like, "Christ's sake, mate, pick a team." Leave me alone.
He could be anywhere at this point. It's literally like Alien. He's in the walls, man. Oh god damn. So that's the exciting thing we've had to deal with during lockdown. But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it a little bit actually. It's been a bit of an adventure.
Well, you said you wanted to get into hunting, mate. It's just on a smaller scale.
That's true. Yeah. We're going to need a bigger bit of cheese.
Yeah. When you were talking about the traps, I was praying it was a slab of wood with a little wire trap with a bit of cheese in it.
It basically is, mate. It basically is. It's just plastic, not wood, unfortunately.
Nice. Do you have to put any bait in it? Do you put cheese in it?
Yeah, well, I've gone for a mix because I wanted to cover all the bases.
Charcuterie. Sun-dried tomatoes. It's like...
I've gone nice, healthy peanut butter.
Nice.
The stuff that costs like a bomb. And I've gone for a little bit of raspberry jam on one of them. Oh. So there's a mix. So he's got a choice. Yeah, exactly. Irresistible to us, let alone rats. Or mice, rather.
Fantastic.
Thank God it's not a rat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even if you do get a rat or a mouse, it's not the end of the world. They are literally everywhere. It's usually just because you've got a hole or you've some bit of food or something that you've lost or forgotten about or something that's worked its way down somewhere and it's attracted them in. But yeah, I mean, I it's just context, really, isn't it? I remember speaking to my uncle who lives in Australia, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we have to get our house fumigated every 18 months, 2 years." And I said, "Oh wow, God, have you got a big problem with something?" And he's like, "No, everyone does that. It's just because we're in a hotter country, that's a vibe." Every 18 months, 2 years, you get your house fumigated for roaches and just hot crap, basically.
Sure.
Even in their house, they've got a nice house and it's spring clean and all this sort of, Yeah. And I was like, God, if you lived in a poor area or a crappy place, or you just didn't clean your house, you'd be in big trouble in a hot country.
Yeah, right. Well, I remember my American dad, would tell me as a game, and he's quite old. So just put this into context. This would be this would probably be 50s.
Right.
So as a game, he would probably actually late 40s probably. My God, he's old. Anyway, he doesn't listen, thank God. So he would, for fun, he would basically go into the basement but keep the lights off, grab a shoe,
right,
and he'd turn the light on, and then the roaches would disperse to find like a dark corner, and him and his brother Don, slightly older brother, would just try and see how many they could get before they could get back under the counters and stuff.
Amazing. That's so good. That's so cool, man. Like, especially if you're a kid, like once, like adults are creeped out by stuff like that, aren't they? Roaches, but like kids are just like, this is cool. I'm just going to squish as many roaches as I can. It's really cool. I'll pull the legs off for one if I'll find it. You know, as a kid, that's the sort of mentality that you're in. And that just reminds me of when I was young with my brother. You know, when we're sort of still single figures, we used to go around to our grandparents quite a lot. They live really close to our mum and dad, so we went around there a good handful of times a week. And in the summer, right, they've got quite a large front garden. It's like bigger than most people's back gardens, right? It's just a big square, and it's not very exciting, but it's just large. And there's a big main road at the front of it, right? And in the front are like flower beds at the front, right next to the road. It's just full of snails. Like hundreds of them, loads of them, whatever. Because it's so far away from the house. My granddad, he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to bother like dealing with that. They can just all live there, you know." So obviously, in the summer, we'd go out there, just get these snails, and we'd like one after the other, just toss them into the road and just watch cars drive over them. Basically.
Oh God, never tell my missus that ever.
Mate, it was so good. It's like 7-year-olds. My brother and I were just like, yeah. Every time a car came by, we were like, oh my God, there's a truck, quick, throw it. And we were like tossing them out, and it would just squish these snails all over the main road.
Wow. Oh man, you know what? I don't really have any stories like that, but I do wish I had a bit more interaction, a little bit, because as a bloke, I force myself to sort of deal with these issues, but I'm definitely not. God, what am I trying to say? There's definitely a fear in me. Anything that scuttles, snails are probably not an issue, but anything that moves quick, even though in my head, logically, I know it's harmless to me, if it's quick enough, it will, my monkey brain will just take over, and I'll just fight or flight. And generally flight is the option I take. And I think had I had a little bit more interaction with that as a kid, maybe I wouldn't be quite as scared. But no.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess maybe I'll get better.
Did you used to play around in the dirt as a kid? Like, did you run about and play out in the garden and all that sort of stuff? Do you know what I mean?
I used to play in the garden a lot. It wasn't necessarily that dirty. I guess it was. Yeah, it was more me and my brother fighting each other. And me, I'll put it the other way. It's me and my brother, me getting beaten up by my brother is probably the better way of putting it. The 5-year difference did not do me well. So, but no, I guess that was relatively muddy. But it was always in the back garden. There wasn't really any bug situations. It was a pretty tame garden. Plus, we had this cat, Tika, who was an absolute killing machine. So anything that moved in our back garden didn't stay there for long. It either escaped or it died,
for sure. I guess... I always think like if and when I have kids, like I'd love to live somewhere a little bit more rural, just to have space for like kids to run about or like explore, go into woods and a big garden and all that sort of stuff. It's not got to be a swanky house or anything, just something with a bit of land, just because the amount of fun you can get up to. Like I remember a mate of mine, I'm not sure whether he listens to this or not. If he does, shout out. He'll know who he is. He's a farmer, right? And I remember he is a fantastic mate, but I used to love going around to his house even more because he lived on this big farm, right? And he had all this land as well, and all this stuff that I wasn't used to. I was sort of like suburban, I guess, but he had like tractors and air rifles and quad bikes and crossers and just all this great stuff that like kids kids go nuts for. Like, he had a grappling hook, for God's sake, right?